Alright, this is Weapon X Reacts and we're back with another video, and this is going to be a review of Come and See, which I think is one of the greatest anti-war films I have ever seen in my life. And what makes it so good is that it shows the horrors of war, but at its darkest. And it does not hold back from it, as it's done in a way that is just absolutely haunting. And it does a great job at blending in realism with surrealism. And I totally recommend you check it out, as it is an experience you will never forget. And I just want to let you know that this film covers topics that are extremely disturbing. Also, in my opinion, I really think that this film is up there with movies like Francis Ford Coppola's Apocalypse Now and Steven Spielberg's Schindler's List, all due to the fact that they show war for what it is, a hellhole. And it even has some similarities to Andrei Tarkovsky's Ivan's Childhood, as they both focus on war from a child's perspective. I'm going to break down the plot of this film. So, after going against his family's wishes to join the Soviet army, a boy returns home to find out that they've all been massacred by German forces. The main character is pretty interesting, as he is a perfect example of the people who have seen war at its worst. And I just want to say that the actor who played this character gave a powerful performance. And did you know that this was the first movie he was ever a part of? And his facial expressions are just powerful, as it perfectly shows that this is someone who has been through a lot. And to me, it felt like he saw hell for the very first time. And overall, this is one of the most compelling characters in movie history. And the actor's performance does such a great job at showing how difficult his journey was throughout the film. And his character still remains as one of the most haunting portrayals of the psychological toll that war has on the people who suffered through it. And at the beginning, he starts off as a boy who was very patriotic and eager to fight for his country. And then in the end, he becomes a hollow shell of himself. And it shows how war can destroy a person's innocence. Also, the cinematography has a very hypnotic and atmospheric feel to it, which immediately pulls you into the harsh realities of war. And to me, I think it is both haunting and beautiful at the same time. And the way in how it uses natural lighting is just absolutely amazing, as it makes this film feel almost realistic in a way. Also, I really got to give a lot of respect to the cinematographer for his work here, as I think that this is the best he has ever done. And I just want to let you know that he was a Russian soldier who fought in World War II against the Nazis. Let me remind you that he was 15 years old at the time. And overall, the cinematography of this film creates a brutal and nightmarish atmosphere, which is one of the main reasons of why this film is so hard to watch. And to me, it truly makes this film what it is, a masterpiece. Also, the way in how they framed this movie is just amazing. Like, for example, the part of where the main character is next to a dead cow is probably one of the best shots I have ever seen in a film like this. And the close-up shots all do a fantastic job in showing how the main character's mental state completely breaks apart, and the colors that were used makes the world feel almost post-apocalyptic in a way. The directing by Ilem Klemov was really good, and I just want to let you know that he made this film through his experiences from when he saw the Battle of Stalingrad from the first time, and he was only a baby when that happened, but he was able to escape with his family on a raft. And I will say that he did an amazing job of showing how terrifying war can be. And right now, Come and See is highly regarded as being one of the greatest war movies ever made. And to me, it's just one of those films that don't get made anymore. And not just that, but it shows what foreign films are capable of. And after watching this movie, I realized that they tell much better stories than most films made in Hollywood today. And what makes it even more sad is that he stopped directing movies altogether. And I just want to say that he is one of the best directors of all time. And this film fucking proved that. Also, I just want to let you know that this movie is one of Roger Deakins' favorite movies. And he even said that it combines beauty with ugliness. And I can definitely see why, as while it's a well shot film, it shows the horrific nature of war. And there is even a scene of where thousands of people get burned alive inside a church, and it is most definitely one of the most disturbing scenes in movie history. But it does a fantastic job of showing you that this is war. And it is just so hard to watch, and you can see the reason why from just how it's shot. I'm going to explain the ending of this film. So it shows a scene of where Flora sees a portrait of Hitler lying in a muddy puddle. And then he shoots it multiple times, and just as he tries to go for one more shot, we then see a montage of Hitler's life, but in reverse. And then Flora stops shooting and he starts to cry because he saw that while Hitler did a lot of bad things, there was one bit of innocence shown in that picture of when he was just a baby in his mother's arms. And the saddest thing about this ending is that while he was able to survive the war, he realizes that his life will never be the same again. Because this is what war does. It stays with you for the rest of your life. And to me, this was a perfect ending to a film like this. And personally, I think Come and See is more of a horror movie than just a war film. And I actually will admit, this film shows war in a way that Hollywood will never be able to do. Because nowadays, war movies are shallow and soulless. Also, one thing I really liked about this film is that the way in how it portrays the German soldiers as being complete psychopaths that don't care about the lives of other people was pretty well done, and I think that this is a pretty realistic depiction of what it was like in that time, and it makes this film even more disturbing than it already is. Also, the sound is easily one of the best things about this film, and it completely immerses you into the horror that Flora experiences throughout the movie, and it even enhances this film's atmosphere, making it feel like a nightmare you can't wake up from. And not just that, but it makes scenes even more intense. Like, when Flora goes into a house, he sees dolls lying on the floor, and then we see the sound of flies buzzing in the background. And this immediately tells us that people have died here. And it makes the scene feel repulsive and disgusting in a way. And overall, the sound is a perfect example of why this film is so haunting. Also, I think the scenes of Geisha all highlight how Flora tries to find a moment of peace and happiness in his life, but really, it all ends up as him just trying to find instant gratification in the chaos of war. Also, the soundtrack is just haunting, and it fits perfectly with the dark and depressing tone of the film. And I'm gonna show you an example of it right now. Dude, this was such a hard to watch film, as it shows that this is what war is. It doesn't sugarcoat it, it just shows it as the reality of life. And it's just horrifying to see. Alright, let's go. And you know one thing I do not want Hollywood to do? I do not want Hollywood to try make a remake of this film. Because this is the problem with movies nowadays. Is that every single film you see nowadays is either a remake, prequel, spin-off, or sequel, or anything. It's just lazy, and it shows how creatively bankrupt Hollywood is. And it's just sad, really, because that is the death of cinema. But don't worry, because AI is going to replace Hollywood. And I'm really sad for the future of cinema if this continues. This is the rating that this film got on Rotten Tomatoes. So 90% from the critics and 96% from the audience. and I will be reading out the reviews right now. So, for the first one, not only the best war movie ever made, but one of the best films of all time. It's even more impressive that this was the director's only film. Heartbreaking, beautiful, violent, terrifying, and yet somehow uplifting in the end. It may be about a specific time and place, and yet somehow it still feels relevant to so many people and places today. And I most definitely agree with that statement. For the second one, as effectively anti-war as movies can be, Come and See is a harrowing odyssey through the worst that humanity is capable of. Directed with bravura intensity by Ilem Klemov. And that's just one thing I like about this film is that it doesn't show the harsh realities of war, but it shows you the destructive nature of humanity. And that is another reason of why I like this film is that the writing is just next level. For the third one, a compelling, harrowing, absurdly beautiful account of the little known Holocaust in Belarusia. For the fourth one, an overwhelming statement on the horrors of war. Come and See takes an unusual tack in relating a story of World War II. This is a psychological drama, a harrowing, grueling journey into a young boy's mind as he tries to survive a very real nightmare. As I read these reviews, it's nice seeing a film like this getting the praise it deserves. In conclusion, this was most definitely the darkest film I have ever reviewed on YouTube. And the fact that this was called the scariest non-horror film of all time just sums it all up right there. Because this is a movie that will stick with you long after it's over. And it is just so much better than the crap we get from Hollywood nowadays. Because all they care about right now is pushing their woke, pretentious nonsense into their films. And guess what? People are getting sick and tired of it. Way more than ever. And that's the reason of why I just watch old movies now, is because they just had something special about them, and Come and See is a fucking great example of that. And please let me know what you thought about this film. And if I have one more thing I want to say is that war is hell. And it will continue on being that way for a long time. Just watch this movie and find out. Oh yeah, and this film was even screened to a German audience, and they said that it was an accurate depiction to what was like in that time. And there was even an old person that stood up and said that he was a soldier that fought in World War II. And I just want to let you know that the next film I'm going to review on YouTube is Sicario 2015 by Denis Villeneuve, F1, and 28 years later. So get ready for that. And let me be honest right now. For me, this was a great film. that I don't ever want to watch again because it was just that disturbing. And it was pure nightmare fuel. And it's just sad to me that this movie didn't get nominated at the Oscars for Best International Feature, even if it was submitted by the Soviet Union. It just goes to show you that the Oscars are a joke, and they always have been that way for a long time. Also, anyway, that's all I got for today. Go away now and always remember, strike back like a weapon against wokeness. And go watch this film if you haven't already, but only watch it once. I'm serious because you will never see war films the same way again after this one. It's just that horrifying and disturbing. But still, it's an amazing movie that needs more attention.